Deep in the Indonesian archipelago, a slumbering giant awakened. This was a region known for its natural beauty and tranquility, but beneath the serene surface a powerful force was brewing. On the island of Sumbawa, Mount Tambora, a volcano long dormant, roared to life in 1815. The eruption was so powerful that it could be heard thousands of miles away, a thunderous roar that signaled the beginning of a catastrophic event. This was no ordinary eruption. It was a monumental explosion that would have far-reaching effects not just locally but globally. This was a cataclysmic event, the likes of which the world had rarely witnessed. The sheer scale and intensity of the eruption were almost beyond comprehension. The eruption of Mount Tambora was an explosion of unimaginable power, dwarfing even the infamous eruption of Vesuvius. It was one of the most powerful volcanic events in recorded history. It ejected an estimated 150 cubic kilometers of volcanic material into the atmosphere, darkening the sky and unleashing a cascade of devastating consequences across the globe. The ash clouds spread far and wide, affecting weather patterns and causing temperatures to drop. The mountain itself, once towering over 4,000 meters high, was reduced to a smoldering caldera, a testament to the sheer force of nature's fury. The landscape was forever altered, a stark reminder of the power of volcanic activity. The sound of the eruption was heard thousands of miles away, a deafening roar that echoed across the Indian Ocean. It was a sound that struck fear into the hearts of those who heard it, a harbinger of the destruction to come. Villages were obliterated, buried under a torrent of ash and pumice. The once thriving communities were reduced to ghost towns, their inhabitants either killed or forced to flee. The immediate impact on the island of Sumbawa was catastrophic, with tens of thousands of people losing their lives in the initial blast and the subsequent pyroclastic flows. The destruction was swift and merciless, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. The eruption of Mount Tambora was a stark reminder of the immense power that lies beneath our feet, a force capable of reshaping landscapes and altering the course of history. It was a natural disaster of epic proportions, one that would be remembered for generations to come. The immediate aftermath of the Tambora eruption was a scene of utter devastation. The once vibrant landscape was transformed into a desolate wasteland, with everything covered in a thick layer of ash and debris. Ash rained down on surrounding islands, blanketing the landscape in a thick layer of gray. The weight of the ash caused roofs to collapse and vegetation to wither, creating a barren and lifeless environment. The air was choked with sulfurous gases, making breathing difficult and posing a serious health hazard. People were forced to cover their faces with cloths to avoid inhaling the toxic fumes, but many still suffered from respiratory issues. The eruption injected massive amounts of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere, a layer of the atmosphere that lies above weather systems. This sulfur dioxide would have a lasting impact on the planet's climate. Unlike ash, which settles back to Earth relatively quickly, sulfur dioxide can linger in the stratosphere for months or even years. This prolonged presence in the atmosphere would lead to significant climatic changes. There, it reacts with water vapor to form sulfate aerosols, tiny particles that reflect sunlight away from the Earth. These aerosols can spread across the globe, affecting weather patterns far from the eruption site. These aerosols acted like a giant sunshade, reducing the amount of solar radiation reaching the Earth's surface. This reduction in sunlight would lead to cooler temperatures and altered weather patterns. This disruption of the planet's energy balance would have profound and far-reaching consequences in the months and years to come. The cooling effect could lead to crop failures and food shortages, impacting human societies around the world. While the immediate impact was regional, the eruption's atmospheric effects would soon be felt globally. The spread of aerosols would lead to a drop in global temperatures known as a volcanic winter. The massive injection of volcanic material into the atmosphere had disrupted the delicate balance of the planet's climate system. This disruption would lead to a cascade of climatic changes, affecting weather patterns, agriculture, and ecosystems. The stage was set for a period of unprecedented climatic upheaval. The world would experience cooler temperatures, altered weather patterns, and significant impacts on agriculture and human societies. The year 1816 became known as the Year Without a Summer, a chilling testament to the global reach of Tambora's fury. The massive injection of sulfate aerosols into the stratosphere had a profound effect on the Earth's climate. Global temperatures plummeted, with average summer temperatures in the northern hemisphere dropping by as much as 0.5 degrees Celsius. This seemingly small change had a dramatic impact on weather patterns across the globe. The summer of 1816 was marked by persistent cold and damp conditions, particularly in North America and Europe. Frosts occurred in New England during the summer months, destroying crops and decimating harvests. In Europe, the cold and wet weather led to widespread crop failures, food shortages, and economic hardship. The skies were often darkened by volcanic aerosols, casting an eerie twilight over the land. This period of climatic upheaval had a profound impact on human societies, underscoring the interconnectedness of the natural world and the vulnerability of human populations to even relatively small changes in Earth's climate system. Section 4. Fury of the Skies, Extreme Weather and Environmental Upheaval. This chapter delves into the dramatic and far-reaching consequences of extreme weather events triggered by natural disasters. The eruption of Mount Tambora in 1815 was a cataclysmic event that triggered a cascade of extreme weather events across the globe. The massive volcanic explosion ejected vast quantities of ash and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere, creating a veil that blocked sunlight and altered weather patterns. The disruption of atmospheric circulation patterns led to unusual and often devastating weather phenomena. This atmospheric disturbance caused a ripple effect, influencing weather systems far beyond the immediate vicinity of the eruption. The year without a summer, as 1816 came to be known, was characterized by relentless storms, unseasonal frosts, and a dramatic drop in temperatures. Crops failed and food shortages became widespread, leading to a year of hardship and struggle for many communities. Heavy precipitation in many parts of the world compounded the misery, with torrential rains causing widespread flooding. Rivers overflowed their banks, and low-lying areas were submerged, displacing thousands of people and destroying homes and infrastructure. In China, the monsoon season was disrupted, leading to widespread flooding in some areas and severe drought in others. This erratic weather pattern caused significant agricultural losses and contributed to social unrest. The altered weather patterns also impacted the Indian subcontinent, contributing to the failure of the monsoon and exacerbating famine conditions. The lack of reliable rainfall led to crop failures, and the resulting food shortages had devastating effects on the population. The disruption of global wind patterns led to an increase in the transport of icebergs from the Arctic, posing a hazard to shipping lanes in the North Atlantic. Ships navigating these waters faced increased risks, and maritime trade was significantly affected. The environmental consequences of the eruption were felt both on land and at sea. Ecosystems were disrupted, and the balance of nature was thrown into disarray, affecting both terrestrial and marine life. The reduced sunlight and colder temperatures had a significant impact on plant life, disrupting growing seasons and leading to poor harvests. Farmers struggled to grow enough food to sustain their communities, and the economic impact was profound. Widespread crop failures led to famine in many regions. Communities that relied on agriculture for their livelihoods faced severe food shortages, and the resulting hunger and malnutrition took a heavy toll on the population. Marine ecosystems were also affected, with changes in ocean temperatures and currents impacting fish populations and other marine organisms. The disruption of the food chain had far-reaching consequences for both marine life and human communities that depended on fishing for sustenance and economic stability. Section 5. A World in Crisis: Famine, Disease, and Social Unrest. The climatic upheaval of 1816 had a devastating impact on human societies, particularly in those regions already struggling with poverty and food insecurity. The widespread crop failures led to severe food shortages and skyrocketing food prices, plunging millions into starvation. The lack of adequate nutrition weakened immune systems, making people more susceptible to diseases. Outbreaks of typhus, cholera, and other infectious diseases became rampant, further decimating populations already struggling to survive. The social fabric of many communities unraveled under the strain of famine and disease. Food riots erupted in Europe as people desperate for sustenance lashed out at authorities. Migration patterns were disrupted as people fled famine-stricken regions in search of food and better living conditions. The eruption of Mount Tambora, though a natural disaster, had triggered a humanitarian crisis of immense proportions. Section 6. Echoes in Time. The Enduring Legacy of Tambora. The eruption of Mount Tambora in 1815 stands as a stark reminder of the immense power of nature and the interconnectedness of our planet's systems. The year without a summer serves as a cautionary tale, highlighting the vulnerability of human societies to climate change and the far-reaching consequences of even seemingly distant events. The Tambora eruption spurred scientific inquiry into the relationship between volcanic eruptions and climate change. It provided valuable insights into the workings of the Earth's climate system and the potential for volcanic activity to influence global temperatures. The event also highlighted the importance of disaster preparedness and the need for international cooperation in responding to large-scale crises. The legacy of Tambora lives on in the scientific community, in the annals of history, and in the collective memory of humanity. It serves as a sobering reminder of the delicate balance that sustains life on Earth and the importance of respecting the power of the natural world.